Have you ever heard someone talk about change management as the people side of project management? I have. And this view of project and change management does each practice a bit of a disservice. In this video, I will share 3 disadvantages for using a project-centric approach to enable organizational change and introduce you to an approach that has been shown to be more effective and enable healthy and sustainable change. If you are new here, my name is Dr. Dawn Marie Turner, and I'm a change leadership coach, author, creator of the Readiness mindset, and president of Turner Change Management. I help leaders use practical, science-based ways to make their organizations healthier, stronger, and excited about change as an opportunity for growth and for increasing prosperity. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. I put out awesome change management videos each week that will help you thrive during constant change. Before we talk about the 2 approaches, it's helpful to understand what I mean by your approach to change. Your approach to change isn't the same thing as your change management methodology. Your approach to change reflects your values, your beliefs about the way people move through a change process, how people are affected. It influences the time and the way you allocate resources and interact with people during the change process. Your change management methodology is a structured set of steps and activities you can use and do within a particular organizational change initiatives or within change in your organization to lead and manage those specific initiatives. For example, I developed the DEAN change management methodology, which is a framework that outlines a series of steps and activities that can guide a particular initiative and the changes within your organization. Let's talk about the approaches. In my work, I've identified 4 typical approaches that organizations use when it comes to change. In this video, I'm going to talk about 2 of them. The first one is the most commonly used. I call this the project-centric approach. And although it's the most common, it's not necessarily the most efficient, effective, or helpful. The second approach, I call the change recipient-centric approach. And it's the least used approach, but research and my own work with our clients show that it has the highest levels of adoption in the shortest amount of time and has the best capability of allowing your organization to use change for growth. The project-centric approach draws heavily from project management. It focuses on identifying the tasks, the activities, tracking milestones to control for the outcome. One advantage of this approach is that it recognizes the need to manage change. It provides you with a structure. It helps to identify some of those activities. So it's better than nothing. But when that approach is compared to the change recipient approach, it has 3 key disadvantages. The first one is it discourages ownership. In the project-centric approach, the focus is on establishing a change leader and 1 or more project or change teams. Then these teams become the change champions and are often tasked with the responsibility for implementing the change in the organization. And the focus on specific change champions versus a widespread active involvement of the change recipients means that those larger groups of change recipients can be absolved from owning the behaviors and activities associated with that new desired outcome. So it reduces the level of ownership across the organization. The second disadvantage for the project-centric approach is that it minimizes the impact of the white space. That's the internal journey that we need to navigate in order to adopt those new activities and achieve the desired result of the change. The belief that change can be managed through a series of tasks, the completion of activities and deliverables, things like completing training, overlooks that change is really an iterative, emergent process for all of us as people. Research and my own experience have shown that when we approach change strictly from a linear perspective, as a series of steps that people need to go through, we really fail to achieve and understand the complexity and the nature of the way we interact with change. The third disadvantage of the project-centric approach is that it underestimates the amount of time needed for sustainable change and can create the conditions for change fatigue. And that's because the project-centric approach is focused on the time needed to complete the tasks and creating those deliverables within the project instead of the human journey of change, the journey that we need to take in order to adopt and sustain those activities. And as a result, it's easy to underestimate the time, the scope, the resources that we need to engage and adopt and stabilize new activities and behaviors so that we can achieve that desired outcome. Every person, all of us, we need time to internalize the need, make sense of the outcome, learn the new activities, unlearn the old behaviors. And we also need time for those new activities to become normalized, what I call new steady state, so that they're habits, they're the way we're working. It's only when those new activities and habits are comfortable, that we feel confident and they become the way we do things, that those changes stick. Most of us, I know I have, all had the experience of taking on a new activity, a new habit. Maybe it was to exercise more or eat better. And we do really well for a few weeks, maybe even a few months. And then before long, we notice I'm back into my old pattern and my old habits. And what we want to do is restabilize so those old patterns are rewritten. We've written over them and have created new habits and new patterns so that we're not sliding back into our old ways. And that takes time and it takes focus and different activities and different ways of engaging with people so that they feel competent, comfortable, and capable of sustaining those new activities. An alternative approach that allows you to tap in to our normal and natural desire for change and has been shown to be one of the most effective ways of enabling change, whether it's your own change or within your organization, is what I call the change recipient-centric approach. This approach moves beyond a focus of tasks and deliverables. Although you're going to identify activities and things that you can do to support people through the change process, it also addresses all of the intangible elements that allow us to engage and sustain change. It recognizes that change, particularly organizational change, is an emergent, participatory process that needs to connect with the people that are going to do the heavy lifting. Adopting a change recipient-centric approach in your organization, it requires a shift. We need to shift our thinking away from the belief that people resist change, that we can outline a series of tasks and deliverables and people will do them and then things will change, and move to using and adopting a readiness mindset that builds readiness, that engages people with you during the change process, that allows them to identify the activities that they need to be successful in adopting the new environment. Adopting and shifting to the change recipient-centric approach is in itself a change, and it can feel uncomfortable. Many of the clients that we work with, when they're initially starting this approach, they often find it feels like it takes more time. And it really doesn't. It actually takes less time overall. But you're shifting where and how you use your time, and you're shifting the way you interact with the people in your organization to engage them in change. And for that reason, you will need to think differently and move through different activities in new and different ways. However, I really believe it's worth the effort to adopt this approach. And in the clients that we work with, we see the difference it makes. Employees who aren't afraid of change, leaders who aren't frustrated and feeling overwhelmed. There really is a sense that we can do this, and a sense of accomplishment as they move and grow through the changes their organization has to make. I'd like to leave you with 3 questions that will help you get started to use and adopt a change recipient-centric approach. The first question is, what does this change look like from the perspective of the people that are going to need to do the heavy lifting, adopt those new activities and behaviors? The second question is, what impact do our current organizational structures and systems have on the perception and the potential success of this change? Do we have structures in place that are holding us in the current state? And will we need to move and shift the way we have our organization structured to allow this change to occur and for people to adopt those new behaviors or activities? And the third question is, what is needed to create and enable the conversations for change? All right, that's it for now. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. If you haven't already, hit the like button if you like this, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.